in the house, or special carpets which are sensitive to person's steps, or some special equipment which might help to control the elderly person. It might be very beneficial, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, with the growth of the internet, how important is it to protect our privacy and personal data?
It's very important, actually. I think it's getting more and more important. It's a real issue because it can be really dangerous if everybody can access to your data, and it's.
Yes, I think in the era of internet, there's a sort of reassessment of what the private life is, and what's our individual aspects of life are. So, of course, there should be some new laws developed by the government, and perhaps new policies to control, to protect not only our privacy, but also our bank cards, and etc., etc.
OK, and to what extent do you agree that it is up to us to protect our children's future now?
It's a tricky question, because I think, to protect our children question, I don't know how much we can do about protecting our children, because obviously there are a lot of external influences too. I mean, sometimes you do your best but what is protecting the future? It's a sort of open question.
Yes, it is a complex problem, and I think it goes just from the environment and to actually bringing in the family and education and privacy as well. So it might have lots of different aspects. And for instance, it might be very important, as we said earlier, to educate children with regard to the environment issues.
OK, thank you. That's the end of the test.
OK.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Both candidates establish a nice atmosphere in the room by being responsive and friendly, and both of them give answers of an appropriate length, which is about 2 or 3 utterances.
I'm studying at the moment, University of Oxford as well. I'm a DPhil student.
Both candidates maintain good control of grammar in this section, but neither of them attempts any complex structures. Although prepared speeches are not allowed, and they are very easy to spot, candidates can do some useful preparation because they know what kinds of questions they're going to be asked. This is your chance to insert structures like inversions, passives, and cleft sentences, as well as idiomatic expressions relating to, for example, your working life, your studies, or your hobbies and interests. When Rebecca answers the question about how she organises her time, she very quickly loses control of her utterances, half abandons them, and then also makes a mistake with take and make in the process. This would have been a good opportunity for her to use a structure like what I find difficult is, or not only, but also, and this would have improved her performance considerably.
How good are you at organising your time?
I would love to be better, actually. I think I do my best. But yeah, it's depending on how I feel, actually. Sometimes I feel like more organised, and I can take the best of my time. But sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit... I like improvising too, so...
OK, thank you.
Candidates must remember that a wide range of vocabulary is expected at this level. So it's very helpful to practice talking about familiar topics. Try to get to know collocations and idiomatic expressions related to, for example, your working life, your studies, or your hobbies and interests. Expressions like keeping your nose to the grindstone, or talking about the rat race, or living in a quiet backwater, these kinds of expressions are very useful and give a really good start to the exam. Remembering that discourse management is all about how you organise your utterances and how well you connect your thoughts, we can see that Inga, in this part of the interview, gives a very well-connected answer in response to the question about her dream job.
I think I would like to have an interesting job, but with relation to my current subject, so just sort of combine my research background and some industrial experience, perhaps.
Inga's pronunciation of individual sounds is close to that of a native speaker, and she uses stress and intonation to bring warmth and emphasis to her response about her hometown of Moscow.
And you said you're from Moscow.
Yes.
Is that an interesting place to live?
Yes, indeed, it is. It is a big city full of interesting places, places which are worth visiting, definitely.
Rebecca displays inaccuracies in her production of individual sounds, and at CPE level, a candidate's pronunciation has often become fossilised, that is to say, it has become fixed over many years of speaking English. Nevertheless, some intensive practice can bring great benefit to students even at this level. Rebecca gives a good answer about language learning, using discourse markers in a very natural way to widen the scope of the question and to make a deeper point.
And do you think it's important for people to learn to speak another language?
Oh, yeah, I think so, for many reasons, actually. It's more than, obviously, the first one is the communication, but also it's to know other cultures. I mean, because if you learn another language, you end up knowing how people think in other languages too, because it's something more attached to the inner soul, something much more deep than a way to communicate.
Okay, thank you.
In this part, Rebecca tackles the photo task well, going straight to the heart of the question rather than merely describing the photo, which is a common error. She uses a range of structures and expressions: sense of adventure, exotic place. There are ways to make it more affordable.
Picture A can be very attractive for young people because it's giving a sense of adventure and travel to an exotic place. It can be a little bit expensive for young people, but I mean, there are many ways to make it more affordable, perhaps.
Inga gives a nicely managed answer here and shows her ability to use language with flexibility. For example, using the phrase "not only" to add emphasis to her response.
Picture D shows a winter school and ski resort, which is a great option for young adults to spend their winter holidays, not only with their friends, but also their families.
Her reply is also of a suitable length, and she uses discourse markers to show the progression of her thoughts. At the end, she doesn't forget to ask for her partner's opinion.
What do you think about E?
The 2-minute turn is principally about discourse management, and Inga immediately focuses on the element of the question she considers to be the most important. She uses a lot of linking words and phrases, for example, generally speaking, with regard to, for instance, I would suggest.
Well, generally speaking, there are several important ways which we could use to protect the world. And with regard to natural resources, it is one of the crucial issues which humankind is concerned with.
She uses vocabulary and collocations, showing off her knowledge of those which are related to the topic in hand. So, alternative energy resources, renewable resources, places of natural beauty, and ecosystem, for example.
And we should think about the development of alternative energy resources as well as renewable resources, which might help to contribute to the energy worldwide. All of them are interconnected, and it's quite important to support every